The last question I've got is on autonomous vehicles.
Yes.
Now, there's a figure in here of £5 billion, but there seems to be a figure of £5 billion for an awful lot of different things, including medical things, including space, and so on and so forth. All these questions we've been asking about drones and autonomous vehicles, there seems an awful lot to go into that £5 billion. Can you provide any further clarity to that?
I mean, I'm not sure we break out the autonomous ground vehicle on its own. It is part of that larger figure. So we have active plans to go out and work with industry around the ground vehicle. Are you looking for confidence on the system or the number?
I mean, this is right to the heart of Triss's question. The old traditional equipment versus the new emerging equipment, which Ukraine has proved is so important, and I'm just not clear whether that $5 billion is what it's going to include.
Well, I'm struggling as to which $5 billion.
Well, I'm very happy if you give us a note on this because it's so important.
That $5 billion is about, if I think it's the one you're referring to, is about specifically about drone investment. It is not, for example, about our hybrid Navy investments. It's not about collaborative combat aircraft. Those are separate line items. It's not about autonomous ground vehicles either. So it's
solely about drones. $5 billion on drones.
Yes. I think we should provide you with them.
I think you should give us a note. This is so important.
There's quite a lot on page 26 and 27 of the report to divide that decomposes the $5 billion.
There is
so that 150 million. That is okay. So we have actually itemised here uncrewed ground vehicles.
That's the piece of uncrewed ground vehicles that will deliver all of these different services on an autonomous basis to our army forces, ranging from supply of munitions to recovery of injured soldiers to delivery of kinetic effects as well. All sorts of different things you can do with these.
That's what worries me, that there's an awful lot in that category. I would be grateful if you could...
Yes, but there are off-the-shelf capabilities that we can buy from global companies that are already investing in this area for other reasons than defence, which is, I'm really, really keen for these kind of areas that we access existing global supply chains, existing IoT capabilities and existing autonomy, so that we don't reinvent things for what is actually a pretty straightforward capability.
Right. Well, I'm still not clear in my own mind how much money you've got. Air Marshal, have you got the information on this for us?
No, I think it says.
As you
just said.
I would be grateful if we could have included in your comprehensive note, Permanent Secretary, if we could have a note on. I really am very keen to know precisely what you're going to spend on drones and interceptors and updating new technology on drones.
I'm slightly worried that is pages 26 and 27. I'm very happy to provide more detail on uncrewed ground vehicles or any of the specific things you want, but maybe the clerk afterwards could refine the request, because this is the $5 billion that we've got, and I worry my reply will be the pages 26 and 27 of the investment plan.
Well, let's just see where we get to.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Rupert, please.
Yes. I had a general question, and I've listened with interest to the answers you've given today. But I think my question probably, Jeremy, is for you. I've read and looked at the Select Committee when they looked at the Strategic Defence Review, and I've looked particularly at the comments of Lord Robertson, who says we're not moving fast enough. There are too many committees, too many reviews, arguably a case of the blind leading the blind. And then I read on our committee pack that the committee has repeatedly raised concerns about the length of time government has taken to agree the DIP and the impact of delays on the defence sector and on suppliers. Most recently, in spring 26, the committee concluded that the ongoing delay was both hindering MOD's attempts to modernise the armed forces and undermining its relationship with the UK's defence industry. So again, the theme seems to be common. Then I look at your CV, Jeremy, and I see you've been permanent secretary in 4 different departments since 2020, and you took up this job last November. So arguably you could be described as a jack of all trades and a master of none. That's not a reflection on you, I think it's a reflection on the civil service.
We want to just be careful.
No, but I've got a question, a key question here, Geoffrey. The question is, have you got the right team around you? Are you the right man, and have you got the right team around you to make these crucial decisions, which are arguably a matter now of national defence and security?
I am incredibly impressed with the senior team that I have in the Ministry of Defence. And I'm delighted that Rupert Pearce is our National Armaments Director, and an excellent DG Finance on the panel, and Air Marshal Tim and the entire military leadership as well. Defence reform gives us the opportunity to move more quickly, to clarify accountabilities within that system in order to get on and deliver. Every single person on this panel, all the witnesses I know, want to focus on that. Of course, it would have been better to have published the investment plan earlier. We would have liked to have done that if we could have done that. It was a complex task. The SDR is a very important document. Very grateful for Lord Robertson and the other reviewers for their work on that. The threat has changed in the period since we published that review. We're seeing Russian activity not just in Ukraine, more activity in the High North, on the eastern flank of NATO. We're also learning lessons from Ukraine. It was right to do that and to take our time to get this plan and make sure it is right. It's also, though, obviously now a matter of public record that it was challenging for very senior ministers to reach agreement on this. And ultimately, the previous Defence Secretary resigned over this. There have been subsequent changes since then. So there are very good reasons for why this has taken the time it has. But I'm delighted that we now have the plan and we've got the team that we need to deliver.
So the purpose of my question is today we've talked about various budgets and spend. And in my experience of running any form of strategic investment is if you end up with the wrong team making the decisions, you end up with budgets going to the wrong place. So when I read people like General Richard Barron's saying in 2018 the army was not fit for purpose, his view of DIP was basically he said we may as well not have bothered. I read Fiona Hill talking about the fact we're losing the hybrid war, to your point, with Russia, which is a crucial part of our defence, really. The hybrid issue, I think, to your point, Geoffrey, is incredibly important. We look at John Healey's resignation statement, Al Khan's resignation statement, and comments from senior leaders of the armed forces. I mean, this is an incredibly important issue, and I think from the taxpayer's point of view, we want to make sure, number one, we're not wasting taxpayers' money, and number two, we want to make sure that we are genuinely preparing ourselves for what, as you say, is an increasingly febrile environment, and national security is, as you know, underpinned by our economy. We talk about a percentage of GDP. Our GDP is far from certain. Our economy is very weak. So ultimately, we need to invest in this, and I think from everybody's point of view, it was worth just asking this general question, because I'm concerned when I read all this stuff that we may not have the right formula. But if you can assure me that you're the right man, we've got the right formula, then I'll be happy.
This is the first duty of government, and I feel that every single day that I'm doing this job. What you've said about the importance of clarity of accountability, clarity of capability, and knowing that you have the right people, what my military colleagues would call the SQEP, in order to deliver, is absolutely critical to deliver programmes. I've spent 30 years in government managing budgets, delivering some of the most complex, the most challenging budgets in government, and I can really see how those skills are applicable to the work in defence.